That breaking news tonight, another night of unrest in downtown L.A. Reports of bottles, rocks, and fireworks met by tear gas and batons, all amid a stern warning tonight from President Trump. What started as a peaceful protest against ICE becomes night number 2 of tensions boiling over. I'm Jonathan Gonzalez.
I'm Kathy Vara. Just in the past half hour, we have seen dozens of people detained by LAPD. Our News Chopper 4 has been up over the scene all night. About 5 p.m., people started squaring off with federal officers in front of the federal building. Hours later, around 9:15, the LAPD issued a dispersal order and declared an unlawful assembly at 9:20. At 9:40, we saw fireworks. And now News Chopper 4 is up live overhead. You can see the LAPD officers still separating and detaining groups of people. This is at Alameda and Temple. It is much calmer now, though, than just an hour ago. We'll continue to monitor this overnight. We'll bring you updates as soon as they come in.
Peace, peace, and blessings. This the Newsroom, never in the working service. Newsroom 16.1. I'm your host, Henry, co-host Shanakma JML. We have a show for you today. We've been dealing with a lot when it comes down to ICE. But we going into LA and the protesting going out in the warmest part of the country. How everything going, Shan?
Hey man, I'm chilling. How about you? It's a good evening.
Good, good. Everything well. So tonight's show, we're gonna be discussing the protests going on in LA, and we also gonna be discussing Don Lemon, his arrest, and is it legal? Is it illegal? Why did they arrest him? These are the questions we jumping on this quest to answer. And I hope y'all stay tuned till we find the answers. But first segment, we're going to be talking about ICE, Donald Trump, American lives. We could talk about logic, reasoning, thoughts, but this is life. This is actuality. This is not something you write in a comic book or a TV show. People is experiencing their families getting torn apart. United States, America government targeting Cubans in Florida. Going in Ohio, I think is Ohio, Idaho, is Iowa. Going into Iowa to go after Haitians. Somali up in Minnesota. It's so many things going on here in America. And they are protesting, but you can't protest in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or nowhere out there when it's winter. They just like the Windy City. That's going to be just like Jesse. What's his last name again?
Smollett.
Yeah. You can't go outside and do all that in that type of coldness.
Yeah, man, because, it's funny that it's in LA because it's the only spot that didn't get hit by the blizzard. And it seems a little staged, if you ask me. But yeah, going with the psyops. You got to read in between the lines, bro. Like ice, it was an ice storm. The
Yeah.
ice storm came right on time, so people couldn't protest the unaliving of that gentleman, Alex, and the understanding that they're playing a funny game. It's like it's for the psychologically advanced. I'll tell you that. But if those people, but the regular populace is not moving effectively and coherently in their self as being aware. Like, you understand what I mean, Henry? Like,
Yeah.
it's not that they can't see, because obviously they can, but they must only understand it on a surface level. So they don't see that it's the warm area of the storm. And remember, we was talking about this on the other show. LA and California, in that area, is the energetic part of the storm. You know what I'm saying? It's getting energy. Then when the energy moves out of California, the storm the particles that they sprayed in the air is gonna be endothermic. So they're gonna absorb all the heat and all the energy, and it's gonna make it even colder by doing so. So you have to understand these it's a macro picture, but at the same time, it's a human cause that's involved, and the cause and effect is real of what's going on. Like you said, this is not an artificial incident. People's lives are really being affected out here, and the government thinks they're slick, basically, that they can get over on the people. That they figure by the time the snowstorm is over, by the time the cold winter weather is over and people start feeling like regular again, it's going to be far enough into the future of time that this will have simmered down into something lesser than it is at the time, because of the energetic boost of the people who are involved in these high stakes incidents of civil disobedience against the United States government. But at the same time, it's for the inhumane and illegal use of force and the treatment of the people of the United States, which seems like it's also an attack on the usage of our federal amendment rights, constitutional rights. So, we got to try to make sure that we're fighting for our rights at the same time, but at the same time, they hit us up with an ice storm.
Yeah, let's also see to the point that it's a lot of things that destroying property, vandalism, civil disobedience. We come down to the point that it also hurt the regular protest, the real protest. Because it's one thing to protest, and then there's the next thing to riot. And when riot, you destroy communities. And also with riot, you shine a negative light on the issue that you was protesting at hand. Most people, when they see the vision of the protest, they see the destruction and the chaos of society. And a lot of people, the main need in their life is security. So if you threaten someone's security, they will give up their liberty, give up their right for this security. But when they realize what they were scared all along was giving up their liberty and their rights. Because if I want to go and protest, peacefully protest, I don't want to cause no problem, but it'd be regulations and red tapes and blue tapes telling me that I can't protest because people before me, the generation come before the kids after us, it will be hard on them to protest and demonstrate their liberties and their rights with people who come before them staging certain acts. So, because the issue at hand, the message that's supposed to be relayed is people have normal lives and they are getting affected by ICE. I haven't witnessed any individual that I know personally, but I did hear a story about friends and associates telling me that their loved one had got taken away to detention centers up in Louisiana and certain other places. It's real. That part is
You gotta
real.
hold on.
People
You're
away
not
is
gonna
real.
creep by that. You're not gonna creep by that. You're not gonna creep by that. I'm not gonna let you.
Yeah.
Because there's a major question that I have to ask at this point that's very peculiar, right?
Yeah.
Because going with, because they, just to make a mention of it, they did release the Epstein files, right? Human trafficking by the United States government officials. Now, you just said, are these people getting sent home from the detention center is the question we need to be asking.
Yeah.
Right? Because it seems like it's kind of easy to do some trafficking if you said, yeah, we're gonna deport them, but you send them to a detention center. That sounds like a certain regime to me that we have been told about from generations past. I'm not gonna say too much of the names because they like to play games out here in the world with those names. So you know what I mean, Henry. You know what I'm saying? Are they deporting these people out of the detention center? Are they sending them back to where they came from?
It's a lot of things going on that we've been hearing about.
Yeah, that's what
Some
I'm asking you because
individuals.
you're saying they took your friend's people away to the detention center. Are they saying they're gonna send him home to his home country or what?
I would have to talk to that person because that's why I was like it wasn't no family member, nobody close. It was somebody I talked to at the bus stop. So it's kind of cold outside. It might be a luck of the whim that I run into that person to get more detail, but it was somebody that person loved. It was a few months ago, so don't know if they
Yeah, if they didn't,
sent them back to
because
that
imagine
country or
that,
not.
Henry. Nah, because that's a good thing you got to check on because we got to find out what's going on. Are people getting? Because think about it, right?
Yeah,
Think about this, right? Think about this. If ICE is taken into custody, let's say I'm just saying hypothetically right now, 100,000 people, right? How did all 100,000 of those people get back to their country?
Yeah.
Or did they get back to their country? This is what we got to start asking these type questions. And we got to start asking the government officials what's going on too, because with transparency, because bro, we know that the government players are known traffickers, human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? They could be sending these. Think about it, bro. Nobody in America is worrying about this right now. This is a key question. Because they could be snatching folks up off the street, sending them to these detention camp, but it was no initiative to send them home. They're just trafficking these people now. And and if you ask me, it goes back to the old moniker, the old cliche about America. You know what I mean? Nothing goes on in America unless America's making money off it.
Yeah, you got a good point. As to the point, let me get this started. Yeah, so let's get to the point. We see movies and we see television shows of certain prisons, notorious prison where United States or certain governments send their worst prisoners. And we seen what United States done in Guantanamo Bay, these secret prisons, as long as it's not on American soil, because if it's on American soil, it is held by United States law. But when it's in these dark camps, these secret locations, we don't know what occur, what they do with body parts and in these people's lives. So we seen it like we did the show on RoboCop that they could collect these people out the streets like they was doing the homeless people. We don't know if they got family where they'll end up at.
And remember, there's another video going around that people are saying is real of that some bystanders had seen that man come out the window of the hospital in his gown running down the street talking about he finally escaped and that they was unaliving people in the hospital for their organs and they tried to do him up, but he jumped out the window before they could put him through the process. And then people are saying, I don't know, it's like we don't know if this is a real video, but based on these Epstein files and what's been going on lately, it's not hard to believe, bro. We gotta understand these people is trafficking humans. So you have to be aware when they do things like this that they have to be transparent. We need to see what's going on with these people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because think about it, bro. If they're snatching up anybody, which at this point it seems like they're just snatching folks up. If your name's on the list, they're snatching you up. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and Henry, and that's why I was saying it's reflecting that certain regime, all them decades ago. You know what I'm saying? Like almost a century ago.
Look, I'm not scared. It's the Third Reich. United States is like the Fourth Reich. Just no, like
it's not the World it's not War the United II. States. It's not the United States.
Is like World War II Germany. Because people gotta understand they were shipping people of nationality, gender, handicap. They were sending all type of people to different countries away from the soil into what is the final solution. People gotta understand that natural born citizens could lose their rights. It could come down to the point that if you, as a natural born citizen, let me give you an example. If you from Zimbabwe, no, I'm gonna give it where people can understand. A war-torn country. If you from Sudan, war breaking out right now. You came to America because of amnesty. And you did everything you had to do. You paid all your dues. You learned some history of America. You was a law-abiding citizen. Law-abiding citizen. You didn't do nothing against the law. But you criticized the converse state of Israel. They would take your citizenship away for criticizing Israel. People's livelihood is in the hand of the few. The many is controlled by the few.
Not only that, right? And that's why I was gonna say, like, I've been saying that to some folks I've been speaking to about it randomly with people and getting their opinions and what they think about it. And it's kind of wild too, because they was just saying that one of the drivers for me for when I go to dialysis, he was just saying that too, like about how Israel and you can't really get away from it because they own everything. So we gotta try to be easy with how we say what we're talking about, because them two people who got snatched up and their lives taken by ICE, they are supposed to be the top of the caste, right? Supposedly the top of the caste system, right?
Yeah.
So that means that if we're dealing with ICE and these type of people, they're showing us that it's the people that's beyond the caste system that's making these moves, right? You know what I mean? It's the people who's beyond the caste system, the ones who are in the triangle, not on the bottom of the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
On the levels that's not connected to the point of the pyramid. So understanding that these people like you said, like if you was from Sudan, right? These people, that person from Sudan technically wasn't on the pyramid until they allowed him onto the pyramid because he was from Sudan. You know what I'm talking about, Henry?
Yes.
Caste system, right?
Yes,
So,
because we talked about it in past shows on how United States is a caste system.
right. So now ICE is taking out the people in the caste system who are not originally players of the caste system. They're not players in this game. They were added on to the game later. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So because the regular American citizens is the one who is born into the game. But see, ICE is also showing us that they're not playing in the game either. They're taking people out of the game. That's their job. They're taking people out of the game. So we have to be more aware and attentive of how we're manufacturing these situations with these people, because it's kind of wild that these government entities would really be up in here like the SS Gestapo and yoking people up out of existence. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy because I'm telling you, Henry, it all links too, because how do we know these people is getting deported? Because notice what none of the people who we knew got put up in there. See, and then it's funny because I've been seeing other videos in places where they was bailing people out. They was able to pay like $1,500, $2,500 and bail their people out of the immigration center And then they would have to go to court to remain in the regular general populace after they pay that amount. Now they got to go to immigration court, but they get out, and like it's like being out on bail, but it's not bail though, because you could still get sent back even though you got out.
So it's like before World War II, they had like a security, paramilitary leader who was under the future chancellor. That's what I'm gonna say, the future chancellor. He got plugged. He got kicked out the organization because he was LBGT, and he called destruction.
Yeah.
So why unnecessary destruction? So they kicked him out.
Right.
So we see dealing with ICE, the leader, one of the leaders, the face of the organization, his rhetoric was getting captured on video. And they had to remove him. They removed him and a few others away from that office in Minnesota. They planning on going to other states and do the same type of behavior. It's going on in Louisiana. It's going on raids everywhere.
Right. Because you got to remember, see, this is where we got to be aware, Henry. Remember what I was just saying about being aware. Why is this the capability? Because ICE is federal.
Yes.
They're federal. They're not bound by the state boundary. So they can run up in anybody's state, anybody's city. They could be like today, they could be in Jacksonville. And then tomorrow they could be in Virginia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Picking folks up, flying in on the airplanes to go get them in groups, right? Or to be aware, like, bro, we got to understand these folks are trained professionals. They're hitmen, they're mercenaries, they're ex-military personnel. They're people who have certain sets of skills that if they get put into the real execution of the limit of which they can move, if we're not prepared for that type of effect, we're going to be onslaughted by the government itself in a way where we won't be able to come back. That's why we have to be able to stop them now before they try to get too fortified and get strongholds in the states, because if they can take over all the states, then what is the state for if the feds has already took it over?
Right. And then when we also look at it, I'm looking at this map right here.
Yep.
It say, well, ICE hold detainees. Most of it is locally. It's a few private, but ICE detainment center itself is mainly 3 of them. One in New York, one in Texas, and one in Florida. ICE control detainment centers. It have a few private detainment center. I can see that the one in Louisiana, he got like 2 of them in Louisiana, private owned. So that give you, and people gotta understand this. When you detain a large group of people, for ethnic reason, for political reason. A large group of people. That's concentration. You concentrating people in a location, and if they stand there, living there, and it's not their home, they are camping there. These are detainment camps.
It sounded like some. It sounded like some World War II regime.
Yes. This is one of the main.
Hold on, Henry. Hold on. Let me ask you something right quick about that. Right. So, if they're really going to show us this type of obvious maneuvering, right? It's obvious maneuvering. Now, it goes back to something I said in the other show and if you've seen on the short. Henry, when was the last time we was holding folks in the concentration?
In American history books.
Concentration detention. That's what we're going to say. Concentration detention.
In World War II.
All right. Now, because these are public detainments, right? These are public detainments, meaning that everybody knows why these people is being detained, et cetera, et cetera. But Henry, wouldn't that mean that that's one of the qualifications that's not that it wouldn't be pronounced, but it would be an indicator that it is World War III? Because like I said in the other in the clip, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be obvious like the other wars where they tell us outright. And a lot of people I've noticed lately don't know they called it World War I and World War II after the wars were over. They didn't call it that during those times. They didn't call it World War II and World War I while it was going on.
Correct.
And it's the same thing. So if we're occupying folks in detainment, right, in concentrated areas of detainment, what is the reality check, bro? That means that's a POW camp. Am I right?
Because people gotta also understand.
Is it a POW?
Yeah, that if someone leave a country, they being a citizen of that country, that means you are a subject of that country. So you could be counted as a spy, a usurper, or so forth and so on, however the government sees fit. And they'd be like, you might using your population growth in America to dictate policies, legislation. And if it's not bending to certain people order, it's chaos. So from chaos come another type of order. And we are seeing that wars on different continents, because we've been telling you war around India. We have wars still going on in Europe. We got wars going on in Africa, where Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and that's the United Arab Emirates, is fighting for influence with American weapons.
And don't forget the tension going on with Iran.
Yes, and Iran is at a tipping point to send missiles towards the convert state of Israel. And also you have a domino effect, because if Iran hit Saudi Arabia, You have Pakistan, which is a nuclear power in that area, might be able to let go a nuclear warhead towards Iran. So there's so many ifs factors. There's so much consequence. You could have oil prices jumping up the roof, but United States President Donald Trump could ease that by throwing Venezuela oil on the market. But that's for another show to talk about. But when it comes down to the people,
Well, that's how they always want us to understand it. But at the
I
same time, they want to try to put a veil over people's face. So they make it so blaringly obvious, but they don't. A lot of the people are not wise enough or knowledgeable enough to know what they're looking at. That's the difference. They
and
know what they know what they're being told they're looking at, but
yeah,
they themselves are not critical enough in understanding, so they believe everything they're told, and that's why it's only on the surface level with some people, like I was saying earlier in the discussion.
and then and then I also wanted to talk about the point of this. The era that I was raised in as a youngster, it was dealing with learning about the civil rights
Right.
and stay away from drugs.
Well, it looks like
And
they failed at
man,
that. It looks like they failed at the latter, but they was successful with the former, right? So one out of 50%. You know what I mean? They because we're doing right now. We're getting into civil rights again, right? Our generations is the ones who's fighting for the rights, and
yeah,
but also in this generation, we have the parallel, which is now it's not to that people is against drugs, it's that more people promote drug use.
yes, yes, yes. And I also wanted to touch on this. When I was younger, I knew this would occur. I'm gonna explain this right here. If United States government would give African American, black, whatever the descendants of slaves land, land up in anywhere in United States, what what type of government that will be? What would occur? Especially for people who might be descending of slave, have children of mixed race, relationships of mixed race, or people from coming from Africa, immigrants, different type of culture. So I thought also it'd be like that new type of government might have to get rid of the outcasts to make them have a national identity. So it gives the thought that if I could have thought of that young, not my beliefs, that's not my behavior, it's just thinking logically, just thinking. So I can see that it's a lot of African Americans, descendants of slaves, FBA, that have the thought in their mind that they ready for the immigrants to go. Some people like, oh, y'all jumping on Donald Trump bandwagon. Some people like, hey, we need jobs type of stuff. And you have other people saying, I'm sorry about that. And you got people who believe that we should stand for everybody's rights and people got to come to America legally. You got some people like get rid of the illegals who got criminal records. Don't mess with people's family. Some people believe a case-by-case basis. But we don't understand fully the methods that ICE fully take. Is it a court system? Is it just, hey, grab somebody like, hey, we gave you this amount of time to get your stuff right. We just grab you out the street, put you in this detain center, and then from the detainment center, we shove you back to your country. Or if you're a violent criminal that we might think you come back, that you're going to come back to this country and wreak havoc, we're going to put you in a prison in El Salvador type of behavior. We don't know the full extent, but we know that America is strong, and if they want to do something, they're going to do it with us knowing or not.
Right.
But people's lives is at stake. And up in LA, they going wild. So let's see some more clips of what happened Friday, Saturday, and today. These clips that I'm showing is not actually live, but we are live. And we're going to just discuss the clip.
Breaking news now at 11. Officers have deployed tear gas in downtown LA tonight after agitators in the crowd began throwing fireworks, rocks, and bottles at them. Good evening, I'm Liz Nagy.
And I'm Jory Rand. This is happening after the LAPD declared an unlawful assembly to the gathered crowd. They issued a dispersal order for the area around the federal building, which has been site of so much unrest for months in downtown Los Angeles. One of our Eyewitness News crews captured this video as the violence escalated. Several streets around the federal building remain closed at this hour to traffic. Let's take a live look right now at downtown Los Angeles from Air 7, where some of the crowd has remained on scene. This is at the intersection of Alameda and Temple. This is just about a half a block from the federal complex. LAPD officers now blocking Alameda, not allowing people to get through. You can see the line of patrol vehicles and officers. Behind that line, up against one of those buildings, we have seen people being taken into custody, put in handcuffs, likely spending at least several hours or the night in jail. You can see them right there lined up against the building with their arms behind their backs.
Now, LAPD just a few minutes ago issued their second dispersal order of the evening. It has taken them more than an hour now to try and get control of this situation at the intersection. All of this began with a protest outside City Hall this afternoon. That crowd dispersed, and this group of what people are referring to as agitators then appeared outside the federal complex after that peaceful protest had ended.
The protest got so wild that they took a dumpster and they wanted to block the ICE police inside of their headquarters, block the entry. They was destroying property. Yep. They till the Los Angeles police force came. And when the Los Angeles police force came, they turned their attention on them. From the ICE to the LA Police Department. And we got to understand, a lot of these protests be organized, some be peaceful, and some get hijacked, but some had clandestine behavior. So that's what we're going to get into the next story. Dawn Lim.
Tonight, Don Lemon defiantly addressing reporters after being indicted on that federal civil rights charge.
I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now.
I'm just going to walk in.
His crime, he said, was a conventional act of journalism, reporting on this disruption of a Minnesota church service 2 weeks ago.
I'm not going to get in the middle of it because I'm not here as an activist. I'm here as a journalist.
And Lemon followed demonstrators inside that church, whose pastor was also an immigration official. Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammys. Meanwhile, 1,500 miles away,
agents are at my door right now. They're saying
Minnesota journalist Georgia Ford, who was also at the church, posted live as she was about to be arrested. Lemon has defended his actions that day.
I was there just simply chronicling what they were doing, which is what journalists do all the time.
But 2 days after the protest, President Trump called him out.
Like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible.
You know, Donald Trump, he got something to say about almost everything.
You know, Donald Trump always got something to say about somebody, you know?
Yeah.
But that you can also tell that's because he's from that era, you know what I mean? Like call people out, you know what I'm saying? And that's the way it is. If you didn't like it, you know what I mean? The only thing you can do is change the result. You can't really get mad at Trump, you know what I mean? He's just calling it like he's seeing it.
Facts. And we got to understand this. Don Lemon, I believe he got his Negro awakening. That what was going on at CNN, he was protected. But independent journalists, no. Independent journalists go to jail.
Exactly. He's still because now he doesn't have those different credentials that he would have been able to pull out and say some stuff. But, you know, now you just got to live it like everybody else, you know, and so because he's not part of the Associated Press, the legacy media anymore, you know, so now he's getting hit with them trespassing and vandalism and all them type of charges because he was there at the outcome of the situations, you know, so
yeah. And it's
you're gonna get charged, Henry, you know that, bro. You getting charged on an accessory.
Yeah.
You get caught in the area, you getting charged on the accessory.
It's like if I start a business and in that business I have a media wing saying, okay, right, my media wing, they gonna put little comments in the newspapers. They gonna go to football games and basketball games, stadium, and get advertisements set up. They'll do their job.
Right.
When it comes down to protest, in media, the media could prop up protests to push their agenda to have a coverage. Don Lemon was the media wing of that organization. It's a reason why they arrested him and charged him. They like, hey, Don Lemon, it's one thing when you paying attention to the internet and then you see a flyer and a flyer say, we going to this church on Sunday and we're going to protest. And then you as a media outlet, you go to that surface, wherever is at, whatever church, It could be the church parking lot, but they went inside the church. They violated people's civil rights because people should be able to peacefully worship their God, their dynasty, whatever you want to call it, in peace. They got evidence. We got evidence that Don Lemon did not go into that protest as an independent journalist. He knew. He was part of the decision making. He was part of. I'm
listen, Henry. Yeah, but hold on. You know, we giving out free game out here, clinics. We giving out legal clinics out here. You know what I'm saying? Like Don Lemon, from what you just said, right? Just off what you just said, with no action, meaning they didn't go up in that church, right? No action. That's already a conspiracy. That's conspiracy charges. You know what I'm saying? Because because remember, what are they charging him with? They're charging him and them people with invasion.
Yeah.
It's not a home, but it's a commercial charge similar to home invasion. You know what I'm talking about?
He did it? And you know why he did it?
Why?
For subs.
See, and listen, hold on.
We want to show it. We want to show it.
I gotta say something about that. Listen, I gotta say something important about that for everybody else on YouTube, stuff like that, TikTok, Instagram, etc. The judges in the courts is gonna hit you harder if they know that's a fact. When the charges come in, that's not them days is gone, Henry. The days where you could go in there and say, well, I was doing it because I was doing social media. Back in the day, in the beginning, the judge might give you some leeway off that, right? Nowadays, the judge is going to hit you harder because so many goofballs be out here doing anything for views, subs, donations, all type of illegal stuff. Stay in the 24-hour challenge, who can stay in the store overnight and not get caught. Breaking and entering type charges. And, you know, January 6th type charges. You know, these are the, because and let's just be frank with it. It interlocks into the LA segment, because they're taking the leeway, right, of the gentleman Alex's death and trying to turn it into aggression against institutions. Now, this is not what I'm saying I believe, right? I'm telling you this is a fact because based on the information. And I'm not saying it to be biased. I'm saying it because this is how the government's looking at it. The people in LA is protesting the shooting, right? The Don Lemon was in Minnesota at the time, helping the protesters in Minnesota about what happened during the shooting. But they invaded a church, which is why that's important. That's an institution. It's the institutions. Because now the government can come out and say, in a generalized way, they're coming for the institutions as well. So now all the ICE got to do in the administrations is go to these various institutions now and convince them to have ICE already over there in the institution.
So
you understand what I'm saying, right, Henry? You know what I'm talking about.
But
because that keyword institution is gonna, that keyword institution unlocks the variety of different types of institutions that they could work with, where if they was just regular ICE, it would be harder because those institutions would be trying to get the support of the community. But now the community done turned on them, onto the industries, onto these commercial properties. So now ICE has to come and say, listen, next time, if we was ready, when they try to come for you, if we got people for ICE already in the church or people for ICE already in the stores, remember, this is going back to the same way the SS Gestapo used to be operating up in Nazi Germany. Standing on the corners, standing at certain choke points that they knew that it would be high traffic, high volume people, like a coffee shop, the gas station, right? You know what I'm talking about? So this is and now this is going to cause ICE to be able to get permission to be at these establishments as general reinforcement.
Yes, and ICE is now using facial recognition, AI technology, facial recognition to locate people. They'll scan people and, oh, you the guy, oh, you the woman, you the person, you gotta go.
And the
Are
thing is that
entering.
most people don't realize that a lot of people is really ignorant to and oblivious is that that's against the law for them to really be scanning us like that. Because even though in public there's no assumption of privacy, but at the same time, they're not supposed to be invading your personal space either. You're still allowed to have your personal space. So but you have to understand, because if they're scanning everybody's face, what if you or I look like somebody who's in the system already, and they see us and it tells them that we're that person, and they come and they knock us off?
Yes, we dealing with thin lines, with new chapters of the legal field where it's torn between the judicial branch and the legislation branch. We dealing with AI technologies of recognizing people, but going back into the subject, we gonna see clips of Don Lemon at the beginning of I got exclusive footage.
Yeah, we need to see that.
It's from his own website. We going to play it.
Yes, sir.
They're getting the operation together again. This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason, it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. How are you? Good to see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
this is Nakima, Levy Armstrong.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation.
Okay, so we're going to go to the operation again. We're not going to give any of the information away. As Nakima said, this is clandestine, a clandestine operation, and then we can tell you what's going to happen afterward. They're getting the operation together again. This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. How are you?
Good
to see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
this is Nakima, Levy Armstrong.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation.
Okay, so we're going to go to the operation again. We're not going to give any of the information away. As Nakima said, this is clandestine, the clandestine operation, and then we can tell you what's going to happen afterward.
I've had to play it 2 times so y'all could catch certain key pieces. One, he was there at the beginning when everybody was meeting up, the meeting up spot. We about to go to this place right here. They got an ICE member. He's one of the preachers, one of the deacons in the church. We going to protest inside the church. He knew. His crew knew where to go.
And listen. And you know how the judge is really going to hang them up? He's going to hang these folks up. They're going to get hit up with some heavy time. They might get hit up with heavy time for this too. Because they're saying it as premeditation, right? So now there's no saying, oh, we didn't. It looks like an invasion. You know what I mean? Think about what you're talking about, Henry, right? Just minus the firearms, right? They wasn't coming through with firearms. But you know what I mean, Henry. You know what I'm saying? They're spinning the block, bro. And then he was trying to say it in a way where right off the bat, it's clandestine. So that means it's not any. If it was clandestine, Henry, you know what they don't got, right?
What's that?
That's hit with the criminal charges. They don't got permits.
Bingo. It's secret.
They don't got permits to protest. So anything they do is automatically criminal.
Yeah, it's explicit.
They didn't declare to the city that they was going to be protesting at that church.
Facts,
now it's an illegal assembly.
So let me play this real quick.
So if you're in the chat, if you're with us, support us. Support us. Support us.
In the church.
Like and subscribe. Become a member. Support independent journalism because we do it without fear or favor. I'm not afraid to do this. Like I told you, it was going to be raw, unscripted. We got stuck in the snow trying to get here and to produce it in real time. Go here. As soon as we walked in, almost perfect timing, the protesters stood up. Appreciate all of you, all of the new members. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching us, make sure if you go to the YouTube channel, you can hit subscribe. Just go to donlemon.com. donlemon.com. At the top of the page, there are links on all 4 of the categories that we are nominated for the NAACP Image Award. Click on those categories and vote. You can only vote for one person. Vote for me. As Nakima said, this is clandestine, a clandestine operation, and then we can tell you what's going to happen after. We don't know what's happening. We kind of do, but we don't know how it's going to play out. Okay, so we are here
Now, do you think if you just have it, I think maybe if you just have it on the church, but if they see me,
Oh, whoops.
they're gonna know. No?
I don't. It just depends.
If they see me, they're going to know.
What?
Don't name the location.
I'm not naming the location, but I mean, I'm just wondering if
at
you
some
see
point,
me.
The
folks inside see me.
Are the congregants really on live instead of in service right now?
No, but they'll be like, "Why is Don Lemon here?"
Sunday morning. Sunday morning church.
Yeah.
And we need to surprise them.
Like, he's. Well, what else? It's Sunday, and we already said the church.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you said it.
I had to show them 2 parts real quick to show that we not playing in the newsroom, never in the working service. We working here, digging up the dirt.
Yep.
That's what he put out in the open, that we going to the church. We going to be there when the protests go. We not going to be on the sideline. We going to be in the midst of the protest like it's a television show. It's like Maury or Jerry Springer grab a mic and tell all his audience, come on, we going to look inside this part of the building. Or he grab his mic and tell the camera, come on, we're going to see this area right here. It's part of his show. Don Lemon made that a TV show, not independent journalism, because it was secret. It was a organized event. This is what CNN do. This was what Fox do. This is what legacy media do. Legacy media set stage up like this, but he is an independent journalist trying to do what legacy media do. It's one thing, like, okay, it's one thing if I take my equipment, go into Washington, D.C., deep into the city, in front of the White House, and I start recording the protests that occur out there, and I start asking questions. That's independent journalism. I just went out there to see what somebody protesting about. I don't know what's going on, but I want to know what's going on. But it's another thing if I take my tripod, take my equipment, set it up, and have a whole speech like Adolf Hitler out there. That's a different thing. That's not journalism. That's propaganda.
Right.
So he was trying to propagate to the people a message that go against people's civil rights. You already trying to fight for the civil rights for certain individuals because of their sexual orientation. Okay with you. I won't say good with you. I'm going to say, okay, you do you. But you got to respect other people's civil rights, their religion also. I might don't agree with everybody's religion and their thoughts and their belief, but I can respect it to a certain extent. I can talk about it, but going inside somebody's face, slapping them with their holy book, it's not protest. Certain limits, what I'm saying.
That's disrespect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. That's disrespectful. I ain't going front. That's disrespectful, bro. You know what I'm
Bad,
saying? I've been
bad.
trying to hold it steady with it, but because bro, that's disrespectful. You slap somebody with the Bible is, bro. You know that's God's word supposedly. So that's a heavy hit to have to take. And John Lemon, that's assault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, let's
So
not front. You know, and then you gotta think about why did they press charges? Like, bro, you invaded a church premeditated, you know, and you took hostage people by force. They didn't take them hostage because that's too technical. I forgot what they call that too. It's not a hostage because you didn't kidnap them or move them out of the area, but you're keeping them detained in the area. So that's a different charge. Like, I forgot what it's called. Imprisonment. That's what that's called. Unlawful imprisonment, because you're impeding people's right to travel, right? You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
You're impeding people's right to travel. So the people who they were trying to get in the church protested against, they wasn't letting them get out the church or get away. And then there's because it's too many people, obviously. Now they got more occupants. And even worse, the pastor gets slapped with the Bible. He
Yeah.
gets assaulted. So now, because remember, I'm trying to be unbiased, you know what I mean? But I'm still trying to paint the right picture. Like, so if the people in the pulpit, just, you got to think about that, Henry. You're in church, right? Some people come busting through the door and they overwhelm the usher and the deacon. You know what I mean? All of a sudden they're running through the church because, you know, they're protesting, so they're saying something, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And Don Lemon walks up onto the up onto the stage and slaps the pastor with the Bible like that.
But
They
you gotta
gonna, you gonna
understand.
think,
But people
no,
gotta
hold on. They
understand.
gonna think, no, but I'm saying if you was in the crowd, you gonna think like these people is aggressive.
Yeah.
That's even if they wasn't going there for violence, you're gonna automatically think these people might want to get aggressive because they already slapped the pastor with the Bible.
But people gotta understand, like when I said slapping somebody with the Bible is metaphysics. What I mean by that is you in the church, and just like they said in the video, if they see me Don Lemon going into church, they know what I'm coming in here for. I'm coming to record something. And all these people protesting, that means it's for reason, coming to put us on TV.
Yeah, but you have to understand, Henry, he's the one bringing the protesters there.
That's what I'm saying.
We already know that. And that's what I'm saying from the aspect of the people who is going to church. You got to
That's
understand
what I'm
the
saying.
people who came with Don Lemon busted in the church, so that, you know, they're going to be all in between the pews. It's going to be a lot of them. And then Don Lemon slaps the pastor with the Bible. That's what I'm saying. So now the people who is in church is automatically thinking that the protesters could get aggressive or get violent.
But
they're not there for a peaceful protest anymore if people's getting assaulted.
No, nobody getting assaulted. What I'm saying is the image in itself. If you had Don Lemon, it's just like you in school and one of your favorite movie stars come to the school and say, I don't like this individual, he's a bully. That's a slap in the face. Don Lemon, everybody know him from CNN. If he come into church and putting the preacher on blast and got cameras everywhere, he gonna record people. And in the church is not a public place. You cannot record in churches, except for if it's for a church activity, and that is on the preacher and the congregation discrepancy. Because if you in that church and they
Yeah, but
doing
it already
TV,
doesn't matter, Henry, because it doesn't matter because of the simple fact that they was trespassing and they broke into the church.
yeah,
That's what they were saying on the reports.
yeah,
That's why they're still getting charges, because they did catch charges, criminalities, right? They did, you know what I mean? That's the thing. They wasn't invited into the church. A church is a holy ground. It's a religious factor. Anybody can go to a church when it's in session. But the moment that they had to bust the door down and try to overtake the church with protests, that's when they went against the law. You know what I mean? Because remember, that's just like you said, if you can't record in a church without the church's consent, that's because it's not public. It's no longer the public. So if it's no longer the public, your constitutional rights are secondary to the property owner.
Yes. The only way that it could become necessary for the news journalists to go through a church like that, as if, okay, one of the preachers caused a criminal behavior to the public. He assaulted someone in different types of manner, and the police is coming to arrest them. So these are public service, and the media is following the police to report on the situation, going to arrest the preacher. That's one thing. But when you, like Don Lemon, was at the beginning in the secret protest, these are citizens. The beginning of these secret meetings.
It's not official. So
yes, it's not an official protest. They planning it beforehand. He knew they was going into a church. He knew. No matter if he knew the law or not,
to protest.
Look, he's a normal person. Wait, let me say this real quick. He's a normal person. The judges and stuff, like, we don't care if you didn't know or you knew the law. It's not our job to tell you, but he broke the law. To put on the...
Not only that, right, Henry? Not only that. He instigated an incident. Because remember, who was the last person to get arrested for something like this?
Who that?
Kai Cenat. Remember, Kai Cenat was giving out PlayStation 5s. PlayStation 5s in downtown New York in Union Station. And it caused all those people to show up instantly, thousands of people in the Union Station, causing a problem for the commute, causing a problem for the local business, causing a problem because there was too many people in one spot, right? Yeah. And they charged him with that, assembling a riot, assembling unlawful assembly. You know what I'm saying? Of a massive group of people. So that's the same thing Don Lemon did. And Don Lemon was doing it for the same reason, and as Kais and that too, to get the likes, the subscribes, the shares, to go viral, over the incident. But it's not legal because they didn't have the permits to protest. So it's trespassing, and there's other criminal charges that was racked up on there too, that Don and them instigated it though. Because think about it, if Don Lemon wasn't going, was all those other people who went with him going? All the people who went up in there and protested and went into church? No, because he was using his influence to make it look like it was what it was.
Yes. It's only take one person to say, I was going in here because I thought it was a legit protest because Don Lemon was here. He was news. I thought the news knew. I was following him because I thought this was legitimate. All it takes is one witness to say that. Because he put on camera, he gave himself away. That's like he's a youngster doing this, discriminating himself on Instagram and stuff. He went to the meetup spot. He spoke about the location that they was heading to. When he reached into the location, he wanted subscription, people to subscribe to his channel.
Not only that too, Henry, they had a meetup spot and all of that, and you seen how many cars were there. And then it was a secret location, and they didn't tell us what church they was going to. That's how people should have known that it wasn't legitimate, because he wasn't telling the people in the public what they was doing.
Yes, because
what church they was going to go to.
Because he did not make the preacher aware. He did not make the congregation aware, even the family members that at home. Like somebody's grandmother could have been at home and watching YouTube. Somebody watching YouTube and they see Don Lemon, he say, hey, we going to this church. They might call their family member to say, hey, Don Lemon is right outside of your church about to come in. Y'all know about this? They wanted it secret. They was breaking the law, and that's why they arrested him. He gave up himself, that he knew that it was a unlawful assembly, clandestine. Look up the word and you will see it's secret. A secret meeting.
Right. So it's one of those things where, they can't, they're not going to be able to fight it in court, bro. That's the way it's going to be. They're going to have to plead out on that, because that Don Lemon tape is going to, you know what I mean? Hey, you know what it is, bro. I don't know. 2020s, 2010s, snitching on yourself on the internet seems to be popular.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to know what you can and you cannot do in the society in a legality type of perspective, so you don't get jammed up by them people too. Because now ICE and them is trying to, now they got warrants for Don Lemon. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to play the game right. It's one of those things. It's a balancing act. You got to be patient and you got to move with it correctly, how you make your moves, and you have to be appropriate. You know what I'm saying, Henry? You got to be appropriate. Even the people in LA, even the people in LA who was fighting against ICE and the police is more appropriate than Don Lemon, because at least they was in the public space where it was allowed before it crossed the line to violence, right?
Some of them smart
As
enough
people
to
know,
put masks over
as
their
hold on, let me say this, because as people know here on news, we do not condone violence.
Fact.
And we're not instigating violence.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure we say that so it's for clarity. You know what I mean? That we agree with people protesting in public spaces. That's your American freedom. That's your right to do that. But when it crosses over to violence or you're violating individuals' private property, privacy, now that's where it becomes a problem, because it's moving out of the public square. So that's not legitimate. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be going up in the McDonald's because you're protesting outside to protest inside the McDonald's, because now you're messing them people's business up, number one. And number two, McDonald's didn't say that they support the protest. And just because, and let me say this crystal clear too for everybody, just because certain businesses don't approve of the methods that you're using, it doesn't mean that you gotta get destructive, because they could just want to remain neutral, not even be involved. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, Henry, we're living in the caste system of America, and we know as well-educated and informed people that businesses and corporations is only entities. They're not physical. So just because you beat up the store manager, you know what I mean? Just because you beat up the store manager, don't mean you changed anything in the corporation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just because people is, just because if you beat up the McDonald's store manager, it doesn't mean that McDonald's is going to all of a sudden change their mind and support the protest.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
And
so they might want to just remain neutral in the situation and keep just making money. But nobody from McDonald's is outside trying to stop you from protesting in the public space in front of the McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be aware of what you're doing and what you get.
But we witnessed just earlier that it's one thing to go to the city and find a designated area where you is not disrupting commerce, people day-to-day life. It's one thing if they would have waited for the ICE member to go home from church and protest in front of his home in the streets, on the sidewalk. Even do that at the church on the sidewalk, but not where people privacy at, where you go to this church to express your faith and you get a camera put in your face, make it seem like you is in this church that might be supporting ICE, but you don't know what's going on. You don't know what member of your church is an ICE member. You just going to church and you got people looking at you in a negative light because Don Lemon popped in your church and shining the camera in front of your face, slapping your preacher in the face with his presence, just being there. is a slap in the face because everybody remember Don Lemon from CNN. That's just like when
That's what I'm
people
saying.
see
He's using
Bill
his influence in
O'Reilly,
a
Tucker
but he's using
Carlson.
his influence in a negligent way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's causing people to get because we know Don Lemon's not the only one who got arrested for that. Everybody who was probably there got arrested, even that lady with the braids. You know what I mean? They probably charged everybody up that they could prove was there based on video footage.
Yes, a few people.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what else too? People snitching. Yeah, Jimmy was there too. I seen him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
it's a real serious issue, but you know hey, listen, this is welcome to modern day America. Everybody's trying to protest or capitalize on being able to protest, even if it's not commercial.
Facts. You gotta. Whew, it just showing you that some of these news organizations do these type of behavior. They have controlled crowds to make their footage seem more authentic. And Don Lemon is used to these type of behavior, but as an independent journalist without no credible news source behind you, no legacy media behind you, you just a Negro agitator. Because you got your Negro card, they not looking at you because you LBGT. They don't care about that. They like you's an agitator. You trying to be some kind of vigilante against the government. No, like Jamal say, Shin Akma say, that you for the government or you against the government. You violated.
When they send ICE for you, you'll know.
You violated. You did not express your civil right. You cannot impede someone else's civil right to make yourself feel like your rights is important. You could stand outside and say however you feel. But if you break into somebody's home and say, I just want to express this to you. If you talk about the bank and say, hey, bank, I don't like your business practice. You say that outside, that's one thing. But go inside the bank, you can say that also in the type of matter. But if it's disruptive, you got to go. Or
Now,
you might
think
wind up
about it.
in
Think about it,
jail.
Henry. What they did, if it was the bank, was the equivalent of walking in the vault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not just walking in where the tellers is at in the offices. They tried to walk into the vault. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand that. That's because remember, even in the front of the bank, when you're in the teller area, that's a public area. That's public. We know that's public because it's for public use. So, but the public is not allowed to go into the vault. So that would be like if they went into the bank and then tried to go into the vault to do the report. If you walked into the vault, did a report on YouTube, walked out the vault, you're still getting arrested for being in the vault.
But even during the news, because you got to understand this. In the lobby, outside of the vault, you have what? You have people like when you go inside somebody's church, I might want to go into a synagogue. I might want to go into a mosque. I might want to go into a Hindu temple. With being a Christian, I'm not a Christian. No disrespect towards Christian, but if I'm a Christian and I want to go into other faith area, I might don't want them to know what I am. My privacy, correct? That's my privacy. That's what I choose not to express. So if I get caught on camera in the church, you put in my private business out because that's a private location. So the same way with a bank, you going inside a bank, your bank, your account information might be written on one of them bank slips, so you could a deposit slip for you to put money in your bank or take it out, a withdrawal slip. You got cameras busting everywhere because people gotta understand you can move that camera to the left, to the right, up and down because you trying to get a certain particular thing, but that camera could pick up information that you might don't want to be on that camera. Because I could move this camera all the way around this room and you might see something that I might don't want you to see. But that's part of the camera picking up everything. It might pick up the smallest detail. It might pick up something that I might have didn't see. Like, hey, you got something on your floor, but you might want to pick it up. Same thing. Don Lemon violated these people's civil rights by going inside that church with his camera and being with these individuals. There's other people that got arrested for this, but he's the biggest name, and we got protesters here, we got protests there. I seen protests, the No King protest, and people on the side of the road with their signs. They not jumping off the side of the road and jumping inside the road with their sign and stopping traffic. They not marching down the interstate holding traffic because people gotta understand. There's no such thing as roads and streets and avenues and court when it come down to interstate commerce. Because that's what that is, an interstate commerce. If you ain't going, because it's what I learned very early on. If you is not going to and from work on that road, you better not be on it. There's designated area for a particular protest. You could get your not approval. You don't need no approval. You just need to get it situated because you could be a one-man protest. One man could go out there. You would go out there today and stand on the side of the road with a protest sign. But if I go and I impede on other people's civil rights, that's a civil rights charge.
Right.
So
these civil rights charges is no joke too.
Yes. So we're gonna call it a night. I want to thank everybody for jumping with us as we talk about the LA protests and Don Lemon's arrest and what he is being faced with. We here in the newsroom, never in the working service. Want to thank everyone for watching our show. Please hit the like, and the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you'll be updated for any upload, video, short, or live. I'm your host, Henry, co-host Shin Akuma JML. We always here. We always say never in the working service for you, the people. And we want to thank you again and again and again and again for your support, for helping us grow in numbers and views. We're going to keep fighting for this information to get out. Next show, we're going to be talking about virus. We're going to be talking about a virus that is out from India, things that most people don't pay attention to, but we need to get you aware of. We love you all, and we hope you all have a wonderful night, evening, wherever part of the country or world you are. Before we go, Shin, you have anything to say to the audience?
Positive vibes bring positive results. Positive results means you're accomplishing your goals. Just because you go through a negative circumstance doesn't mean you can't have a positive outcome. So you know what I'm saying? Just make sure you're staying on top of your tasks, making progress, advancing to that next level, and just stay ambitious and stay determined. Peace.
Yes. Okay. Getting the last comments out. I want to thank everybody for the comments. You make the show live. We do pay attention to your comments. Any questions, any suggestions, we always open for it. And have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to Never End the Working Service, Newsroom 16.1. Have a wonderful night.